Hello and welcome to the home edition of Kiska Brand Bajega, a show that brings to you India's biggest celebrity brands. Today, we have the musical maestro, who's a surreal singer, composer, and has also dabbled upon with acting in the past. He's amongst the most versatile and linguistic genius of the singing world. From starting his singing career at the age of 4 to becoming the voice of million minds, he has entertained and inspired a generation of people. One voice with over 3 decades of richness to singing songs for over 500 films to finally creating a legacy for eternity. Bringing to you one of the biggest brands of the music fraternity, the specialist in musicology, Sonu Nigam. Hi Sonu, welcome to Kiska.
Namaste, how are you doing?
We're doing great, and it's such a pleasure to host you on Kiska Brand Bajega. You're truly a legend, and you truly define music in a broad sense, in every true possible manner. So let's start, Sonu. I want to start by asking you, in our introduction, we spoke about how you develop an affinity for singing at the tender age of 4, which led you to accompany your father in singing at weddings and parties, to moving eventually to Mumbai and beginning your Bollywood singing career at the age of 18, and lending your voice in over 500 films and achieving the status of a living legend. So, Sonu, can you tell us how has your journey been so far?
Journey has been very, very intense. And went through many different stages. When I came to Mumbai to become a singer, I was a different person. Over the years, experiences changed me and transformed me, and I think for the better of everything. I started at a very early age, as you said. I was in 1977, when I was about 4 years old. That's when I first went on stage and sang Kya Ho Tera Wada with my father. And my mother also used to sing. So the three of us became a very famous name on Delhi State Circle. And then in 1980, my family shifted to Mumbai for about 4 years. And that's when I acted in a couple of films as a child artist. And we went back to India, went back to Delhi. And in Delhi, I studied till 1991. When I was 12th standard, then I came to Mumbai because I had started winning all the competitions in Delhi as a singer. And the next platform, the next transition naturally seemed to be Mumbai. So my father and me, we came to Mumbai for the first time properly, and then we started, doing circles around music composers and music studios, producers and directors, and gradually started getting some work. And then it took me some time to get the popular song, the mainstream songs like Chandre Se Aate Hain, Ye Dil Deewana. But by then, Saregama had come on ZTV, which had already made me a household name. So I saw a lot of different layers of success, and which still. It's still unfolding, I would say. My life is still unfolding.
One lesser known facet about brand Sonu Nigam is your love for acting. You've also recently done a short film on your YouTube channel, which I saw. IMDb credits you as an actor for over 30 films. Sonu, what prompted you to dabble your hand in acting?
Acting was never in my agenda at all. Even today, it is not in my agenda.
Sure.
Earlier also, when I did films, especially after becoming a singer,
right,
I never made a film on myself. For myself. I never made a film for me, right? Like other people do. I didn't make it a project for me. I didn't. In fact, I wish I would have done it myself. I would have curated it better. I would have chosen better people to work with. But the thing is, I didn't have any idea. You see, you have to have people to guide you, right?
Sure.
You have to have the people, because every scenario, every every profession has its loopholes, its nitty-gritties and finesse. You need to understand that you need someone to guide you. So when it was music, my father guided me. But when it's about acting, there was no one to guide me as to whom to work with and whom not to work with.
Sure.
See?
Sure.
There is something called image also. Similarly, if I'm a singer, people have known me as a singer. Oh, Saregama, oh, he's a sweet chap. I want my daughter to get married to him. This was what was my image during that time always. Suddenly, here comes now the singer is an actor. Not many people can take it so easily. It's very difficult to digest because I had an image, a very, very deep-rooted image in the minds of people who are connected to me as a singer. And actors have a different kind of image altogether. So you can't suddenly switch. But I chose certain films on some credentials. I never thought that a movie which has Akshay Kumar, Sensible Man, Sunny Deol, Sensible Man, Manisha Koirala, sensible girl. Arshad Basi, sensible guy.
Right.
Aftab Shudasani, sensible guy. Sunil Shetty, sensible guy. Aditya Pancholi, Siddharth, everybody there. I never thought that movie is going to turn out to be Jani Dushman. Who knew that? I was young. I thought all these guys are not a fool to be featuring in a film. I never knew that the film could turn out as I wouldn't like to say anything, but the movie did not turn out well. Then I did Kash Aap Hamare Hote, which was Raj Babbar ji and Nadira Babbar. Nadira Babbar is a theatre icon. Raj Babbar ji is considered one of the fine actors. Now they are launching their daughter. How wrong can they go? But they went wrong.
Right. The music industry over the years has been dominated by a set of singers whose voices were omnipresent. In the 60s, it was Mohammad Rafi and Lata Mangeshkar, who were followed by Kishore Kumar in the 70s. Kumar Sanu and Udit Narayan ruled the roost in early 90s, while you completely dominated the industry since the turn of century. Today, one can see Arijit Singh occupying the same status. Is there, Sonu, a specific time frame that a voice has in the music industry today?
That I do not work enough for a reason.
Yeah.
I don't work because I do not want to adjust myself with the mediocrity. I'm not talking about creative mediocrity. I'm talking about the occupational and the environmental mediocrity.
Where
Everybody has gangs and cams, and you have to do something for them to make them happy. Earlier, it was not like that. Jatin Lalit and me were never great friends. I respected them; they liked me. But if they had a song for me, they would call me. You see, they will not be, "Arey yaar, to apne group ka nahi hai. Apne group ka to Babul Supriyo, apne group ka to Abhijit Bhattacharya." They will not do like that. If they think that Zindagi Maut Na Ban Jaye, that's a Sonu Nigam song, they will call me for that.
Right. A large chunk of a singer's revenue, Sonu, comes from performing live events. And you've performed in concerts across the globe. While singing for films, is there a conscious decision of it blending with your brand, and thus you can milk its popularity by performing in events?
Yes.
I wish to know that, do you do songs at absolutely no cost, keeping in mind that at times you probably earn much more by performing the song later at live events and concerts?
Actually, your question has the answer. The film industry, because I see music is a part of film in this country, unfortunately.
Right.
So we call it like a film industry.
Right.
It's not the music director who's paying, or sometimes they're paying, but generally it is the singers are hardly paid anything.
Right.
And this has been going on since 80s, I think. From my seniors, I've heard they were hardly paid much.
Okay.
Yes, Rafi Sahab, probably Kishore Kumar, Lata ji, they set rates and everything, and they used to charge high at that point. Music was revered more at that point, but then later on, we were hardly paid anything. Now, how does one survive? You can't survive on the 5,000 rupees that you get for a song.
Sure.
I'm talking about 90s.
Right.
When we were singing song for film, 3,000 rupees, 2,500 rupees. How does one survive on that?
Absolutely.
You're making crores and crores of rupees from the same songs that the singer has sung or the composer has, but you're hardly paying to the music composers as the lyrics writer and the lyrics writers.
Right.
Thankfully, now music composers have started singing themselves. And they have understood that they have to make their own bank. They have to become performing artists to be able to lead a respectable life.
Sure.
Salim Merchant and Suleiman Merchant, they have been on the right side of the copyright law and the struggle. They've always been in favor of it. So obviously their films have been snatched away. They don't get that kind of work. But thankfully, because of the songs they have sung in the films, they get concerts. So concerts are the only way, because we do not get royalties.
And it's so disheartening that even when you perform and you're doing all the hard work, right? A music director has contributed, a lyricist has contributed, but then even a percentage of the performance goes to, let's say, a label, a cassette label, right? So how do you think this is going to change? And I know you're doing a lot of things, but do you see a change in the horizon in the near future?
Change is inevitable. And I'm from the school where, I just do the right job and universe changes everything around me.
Sure.
So it will change. I'm sure. The thing is, the thing for people who do not understand this whole business.
Right.
I'd like to just sum it up
Please.
very short.
We want you to.
Yeah. So I'm a music company. Okay. These are singers who are worthy and who have said that, there is a law in the Constitution from 2012 which says there is something called performance royalty.
Right.
Okay. The society, ISRA, is saying, please make correct legal contracts. Music company says, no, I won't. I don't recognize you. I will create my own ecosystem. All the singers who do not have the courage to stand up for themselves, I'll take them. Okay, now I'll work with these only. You guys keep standing over there like your dog with the tongues wagging out like this. So we will work with you. We will create our own system. Not just that. If you do something by yourself, we will not even let that song be played on the radios.
In the times of COVID, concerts and live events have completely stopped and probably won't be taking place in the near future in absence of a vaccine. So now, do you think concerts can also go completely online and subsequently also monetized by an individual?
At this point, I don't think the correct infrastructure has evolved to that point as yet at this point. If this prolongs for too long, there might be other ways of probably getting entertained, and people will start, putting money and watching concerts, which are home concerts. At this point, people are not really concerned that much. Everybody is trying to save money. Nobody knows for how long will this go on. But yes, slightly like in Dubai, something's going to happen the next month. Sure. I can't tell you right now.
Sure.
So it's starting gradually. It's starting to open up because people will starve to death.
Right.
What happens to my musicians, my technicians, the people, the event managers, their families, they have to feed their families.
Right.
So what about the caterers and the tent wale? What will happen to them?
Right.
So it has to open up.
Rahman Saab was on our show and he said something very interesting. The question I asked him, I'm going to pose that to you as well. In earlier times, the popularity of music was gauged by the cassettes and CDs sold. And now it is all about the number of hits the song gets on YouTube. Even songs are promoted and marketed by the fact that they have X or Y million views on YouTube. Do you agree with the barometer of success of the song quantified by the number of views it has?
Earlier, when I or you or our parents or whoever would want to go in the cars to their offices, to wherever, they'll take their own favorite cassettes.
Right.
And later CDs.
Yes.
To play while they're driving, listen to the music. And so they made the choice. I am a Mehendi Hasan fan.
Right.
Aur yaar, I will play Mehendi Hasan. Kya ghazlein yaar, kya maza aata. I am a Frank Sinatra fan. I'll take a Frank Sinatra CD. Right. I am a Sonu Nigam fan. I'll take his cassette. Yaar, Deewana ka album hai. Kya usne classically mind mein gaya, whatever. Aisa tha. Radios came. 90% of the people lost the habit of picking up their own CDs and cassettes because they thought, अरे radio पे 5 station है ना, 5 में कुछ ना कुछ तो आएगा, तो then एक FM इसमें 2 पे 3 पे चल रहे, so then they started shuffling the channels, the stations. So the habit of taking CDs and cassettes in the car, that stopped. That is the first killer of the music industry. People stopped buying cassettes and CDs because at the same time internet came and internet completely, because ये गाना तेरे को पसंद है, मैं तेरे को भेजता ना गाना, I'm sending the song to somebody else. He doesn't need to buy the song. So with the advent of internet, it all started, and with radios it completely crashed. Nobody wants to play. I don't remember myself taking a CD because I have YouTube. I want to listen to Mukesh. I will listen to Mukesh.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, there is something called nuisance value. Mm-hmm. The hits also can be received because of the nuisance value.
Okay.
So suppose there is a very, very, God forgive me, a very, very ordinary singer, okay, or a non-singer, and she or he has made a song, and you, Aditya, tell me, so did you hear the song? I said, no. Arey, you laugh like crazy. Now you'll send me the link, I'll watch the views there.
Yeah, right.
So us masti mein people will listen to F all song and they'll make it big. So the views are not the mark of the genius of a song.
Perfect. Absolutely.
That is the problem now. That is the problem. And Rahman understands this, and then I think everybody understands this.
Right.
And the views, of course, they're bought. Of course, they're bought.
Right.
Of course, they're bought.
Now, coming to social media, Sonu, while you opt to stay away from using some of the social media platforms, your fans continue to buzz with interesting comments for you. So while researching, we came across some really funny and compelling comments on your page, and we shall get you to react to them in our segment, Internet Asks Sonu Nigam.
For a word for it, are you serious? You want me to reply to that? It is just the wife's anger that happened with Divya's video. I truly have nothing against her. It's something which she felt right. She did it. and I just put her video on my platforms, and I invited people to comment on it. But nothing against her.
Perfect. Well said. Okay, the next one, please. Tell us something about your friendship with Adnan.
Lucky lips. Adnan is one person that I've always stood by. You know, I have been on the radar of a lot of people who are obviously, I don't have anything against them, but a lot of people have been voicing their opinion against getting artists from Pakistan and all. In case of Adnan, I always knew that he is the kind of person whom you can't paint as anti-India. And he proved it by taking the citizenship of India. He has proved it over the years. So he's one person whom I have always been very fond of. As an artist, he's a very, very phenomenal musician and artist. He thinks like me. He's a funny guy. He has a sense of humor. He's a wise man. And also the most important thing that he has, which 99.9% of the industry doesn't have, is a spine. A spine. Which is very important for me to be close to a person or to associate with someone. He has a spine, and his spine is also accompanied by a very intelligent sense of humor, which is wit. He remembers that I stood by him for something in one of his very dire times. So he says that about that. He always says that, मैं ज़िंदगी में कभी नहीं भूलूंगा. He stood by me even in that nonsensical loudspeaker controversy where I am talking about loudspeakers and people are talking about azan. I'm talking about loudspeakers of temples and gurdwaras and mosques, and they talk about azan. And on this time also, he, without taking my name, he endorsed to my statement that there is a very intense and dangerous mafia functioning in the music industry, much more dangerous than Karan Johar.
Cool. Next one, please.
PewDiePie fan. I don't think this is. I don't think PewDiePie did that. Probably.
Well, just a meme. It's a meme that's going around.
It's a meme. Yeah. I haven't. I just saw a couple of videos because of my son of PewDiePie, but apparently he's one self-made guy, and his his subscribers are genuine.
Well said. Well said. Okay, the next one, please.
I know. I think I've told the story earlier also. You know, when you evolve. There are a lot of various stages of evolve. First of all is the sudden shock. Oh my God, the universe is like this. Oh my God, this is what life is. Oh my God. So that was beginning of 2003, 2004. This picture is from 2010. I was having fun at that point. And I was recording with Bikram Ghoshji, the world famous percussionist and my partner back then. We were doing some songs for this movie called Jal, which we got nominated for Oscars also in the short list of Oscars. So we were doing something, and I was programming, and I had to go to a magazine called People's.
Yeah.
People's magazine. उसका कोई party थी. I was very, casually dressed in jeans and whatever. I was wearing something, and I said, Vikram bhai, I'll tell you, even though I'm so casually dressed, you see tomorrow only my picture will be there in the newspapers. He said, "Kya suno bhai kaise?" I said, "I'm telling you." And I just this to my hair. I combed from the center and made two things like this. And I told him, I said, I don't even need to wear formal. I said, this is how the camera is going to lap me. And then they're going to make a big deal out of it. I told him, I said, that means if this happens, that means I've understood the functioning of the press. And it happened. They just couldn't get over it that I had the audacity to do this to my hair and come to a party, come to a launch of whatever the magazine's ball was, in a People's Magazine ball. So this is what I was thinking while trying this, and they got me right.
Okay, now let's come to, I think this is something that everyone wants to know. So after the tragic death of Sushant Singh Rajput, you've been reading from the front and exposing the mafias of music industry, as you call it. You have directly made accusations against Bhushan Kumar, T-Series, and probably even a Salman Khan. What exactly prompted you to take on this cabal?
First of all, a person who's detached has no fear.
Sure.
I'm detached to myself also. So I have nothing that I'm attached to. That is why when you know that everything that you're speaking is coming from the absolute truth, then you don't fear. Point one. Point two, I don't believe in taking names. I send across the message, people can, and I send across a strong message, and the message is conveyed with so much of love and a request to people that do not lament for people after they have died. एक लड़की ने सरेआम एक आदमी पे आरोप लगाया हुआ है. Where is NDTV? Where is India TV? Where is ABP? Where is Times Now? Where is Republic TV? They did not pick up the news. इससे बड़ा माफिया क्या हो सकता है कि you can talk about your prime minister of the country, but you cannot talk about one person because it won't be written about. People won't carry the story. इससे बड़ा माफिया क्या हो सकता है मुझे बताइए आप.
I think one of the reasons that has also irked you was there is a group of singers which came together, and for a publication, there was in the disguise of a debate, right? They started making comments, right? After you've come out, the music industry has been divided into two halves, really, right? Where there are a lot of legendary people who are your contemporaries who have supported and stood by you, right? While a lot of these younger people who are wanting to get work out of, let's say, a T series have actually said that whatever Sonu has spoken, it's not relevant. Nothing like this is happening. What do you believe that today a large community is still scared, and this has really created a divide in the singer community today after this incident?
Not really, Aditya.
Yes.
There are only, you can count them on your fingers, the singers who are a part of the mafia. They're definitely going to talk up for the mafia, you see. Let me put one thing very straight and clear today. Music industry doesn't have nepotism. It has, we can see in two cases we have seen nepotism. But in music industry is more about power game. Right. You see, the issue in music industry, like acting in film industry, has blatant nepotism. In music, we cannot say that it is nepotism that we're talking about. We are talking about power game. ये हमारा सिंगर है, ये हमारे गाने गाएगा. अब ये हमारा सिंगर नहीं है, अब हम उसको गाना नहीं देवाएंगे. अब ये सिंगर वहां जाएगा. Now he will make the same singer sing, but he will not sing for this. This is what I'm talking about. It's not a free market. People are banning people. People don't want others to work with their artists. And if they don't like one artist, they will say, we won't work with him. So this is the mafia I am talking about. If you're taking Riz Wiz's song and using it in your film and you are threatening him that do whatever you can do, this is not the way the world should function.
Got it. Point taken. Let's talk about technology. Today we have the auto-tune part. Now I'm going to take a name. Let's say Salman Khan believes that he doesn't need any playback singers to croon for him in his films, as he thinks that singers have a very easy job to do, and anyone with a decent voice through the use of technology can replace the singers. Perhaps that's why Salman Khan has taken up singing of late. Do you eventually think that actors will replace the playback singers?
First of all, Salman is my senior, and although he did tell people not to work with me, but I have nothing against him because in the sense, we all must learn to forgive each other.
Sure.
And I have nothing against him. But he definitely likes to sing, and he told me that, मैं ये गाना गाऊंगा. मुझे अच्छा लगता है, करो. I feel गाने का सबको हक है यार. गाओ, सबको गाओ, सब गाओ. जिसको गाना है गाए. But live show में, that's the litmus test of a singer.
Got it. Yeah.
If you can sing in a live concert, that's when you are considered a singer. Just like that too, I'm talking to you on a screen where I do my music production.
Right.
So over here, what I can do is I can just use the same microphone. This is a microphone, and I can say, "हर घड़ी बदल रही है रूप जिंदगी." मैं ऐसे गा के, I'll put it on the screen like this. Now I'll put तो हर घ आ गया, हर घ. अब मैं डी, तो हर घड़ी डी पे ले तो हर घड़ी सुर में आ गया. ऐसे तो गाना बन सकता है.
बिल्कुल.
बॉडी में आप ऐसे कर सकते हैं, but on stage you can't do. So the sincere people who respect their job, who have no egos, will learn from everyone. Because they want to become singers, they want to do justice to singing. So that's the difference between a singer who relies on auto-tune and a singer who respects his job.
Normally, we have a studio audience as management students, whom we call them as brand malas. But since due to the lockdown, like we are talking to you from Dubai, we've invited a few management students from various parts of India via video call who are buzzing with some interesting questions for you to answer.
Hello, Sonu sir.
Hi, what's your name?
My name is Mahima. My question to you is, you have been honored with multiple awards, out of which features a national award, and your passion for singing has been acknowledged with Filmfare Award and many others. So while an award is a tangible symbol of recognition for one's accomplishment, many celebrities have revealed that the awards are actually bought or are offered to them in exchange for performing at the award functions for free. So how much importance does an award hold for you?
Okay. The thing is, you see, instead of talking, as I said, I don't like to slander anything. And in fact, every country deserves the government that they get, and every government deserves the people that they get. Every artist deserves the awards that they get. Every award deserves the artist that they get. So we deserve it. This is how we think. Indians are like that. Indians like to make a barter deal. We do that. Okay. This is in us, in our हमारी फितरत में है. सबकी नहीं है. ये भी mafia है. You know, the latest word, trending word in this country is about mafia. ये भी mafia है, of course. But earlier, you see, I began my career in 92. When I came into Bombay in 91, I sang my first song in the end of the 91. But before that, I was recording in Delhi. I was doing ads and everything from 89. So I've been recording for the last 31 years. Okay. I did my songs and I did Acha Sile Gitro Mere Pyar Ka, my debut, and people are raving about it. Ishq mein hum tumhe kya bataye. I never got a debut award. Okay. I did Saregama, not a single award recognition for being a pleasant host. Not a single award for Saregama. Okay. Sandesh Se Aate, not a single award. I got Z Music Award, but I didn't go to fetch the award because I was shooting for Tu Kabhi Jane Ki, and also they had not nominated Roop Kumar Rathod ji, who's my co-singer in that song. So as you know, I was just wanted to be by his side. I did not collect the award. And Pardesh Ye Dil Deewana, no award, no nomination, nothing. I never got any award for Mera Rang De Pasante Chola. I never got the bigger awards for Suraj Madham. I didn't get one very important award that was there for Kal Ho Na Ho. So you see, if something is good, it's good. I learned over the years. I was very negative about awards in my beginning years. I used to feel the day I get an award, I will go and give the award back. I will give the award back to those people. This is how I was, very negative, furious, fuming at awards when I would see, क्या क्या award दे रहे हो यार तुम लोग? मेरा गाना साथिया, रंग दे बसंती चोला, सरफरोशी की तमन्ना, ये सब आए थे, and they gave award to some random song here, national award to random song. I was thinking, what the hell is happening? Only Kal Ho Na Ho got award. I never got anything for Abhi Mujhme Kahin in terms of national award and all. But then I realized you are fickle-minded if you think of your life in terms of from the perspective of awards. Awards, at least in India, are gifts.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Can we have Amir next, please?
Hi, sir. How are you?
Hi. What's your name?
Amir, sir. Amir.
Hi, Amir.
I wish to ask you that certain filmmakers and production houses are now preferring to remake the old classic song because the recall value of these songs is very high, and filmmakers want to milk it, as well as filmmakers have this choice of banking on an already tested composition. So, sir, what are your views on this? And secondly, if given a choice, would you ever lend your voice in order to remake a super hit old classic?
I mean, I've done that in the past, but there is a limit to everything. So I've done Major Yamla Pagla Divana at the request of the Deval family for Yamla Pagla Divana movie, and then I did Gulabi Aankhein Jo Teri Dekhi when Bhushan Kumar came to me and he said, "Bhai, iska gana kar do Gulabi Aankhein ka." मैंने वो किया. But those were still, they were directly versions of the original song. You see, I didn't. So now what they're doing is, as you rightly said, they're taking the hook of the popular song and recomposing it, which is fine. I mean, I don't I just feel bad for the original composers and the singers and the lyrics writers because it's like उनको लगता होगा जैसे बच्चा मैंने पैदा किया है और पाल कोई और रहा है. You understand? और उससे कमा भी कोई और रहा है. So for me, it's just when it's done for a small for a little time, it's okay. But when it's overdone, anything overdone becomes suspicious. You suspect the intent of the person, the motive behind it. Is it to take away the copyright of all the people and make it your own? So now these songs will become mine, and people will play the originals. People will play these songs instead of the original songs. So original people who creators will not get the royalty, and the new ones, the new copyright holder will get all the royalties. Is it that, or is it really only creative? That only the public can judge. Who am I to say anything?
Thank you, Amir. Can we have Survi next, please?
Hello, Sonu sir. I hope you're
Hi,
doing
Survi.
fine.
Very well, Survi.
So my question to you is, in a recent video, while paying a tribute to the mother of choreography in India, Saroj Khanji, you have addressed to her as your guru, which is quite a unique title considering how a singer is calling an excellent choreographer like Sarojji his guru. And also, share with us some of your memories of working with the late Saroj Khanji.
In that video, in that vlog, you must have seen that I said that I'm probably the only singer in this country who can, call her my teacher, because not many singers get this opportunity or probably get this good fortune to be remembered for some of the most iconic steps that the choreography industry has seen. So I've worked with lots of people, but Sarojji was my first teacher in dancing. When we doing the album album Kismet and the song Tu Kabhi Janegi, she taught me the entire dancing. Then when we did Bijuriya, as you know, that is one of the most famous dance steps of all times, and that is courtesy Saroj Khanji. And when I did my film Kaash Ab Hamare Hote, it was all the songs were choreographed by Saroj Khanji except one. And those were tough days because we had to learn tough dancing right on the spot because we didn't have the time to the facility to practice beforehand. So while the shots are going on, while the camera is being set, she has that much faith in me. She would create those steps, and I would, learn from her. She would teach me the styling, way to smile, and how to look. And she would always tell me, you pick up the step very fast, considering you're a non-dancer. Because you see, I had probably it was inside my body, but somebody needed to take it out. Because the beat was there in me, the flexibility was there. But, the brain functions separately for separate faculties. Mathematicians think differently. Painters think differently. You see, scientists analyze differently. And spiritual people analyze. So brain is... So I had to get a different faculty of my brain functioning to be able to know ki, ye kya hota hai, ye kya hota. I had to understand that this is not music, Sonu. Forget music. Now you stop using that compartment of your brain. You have to activate another compartment of your brain to be. And she helped me activate that compartment. And I spent a lot of time with her. Even before Kaash Ab Hamare Hote, we were touring in America in 1999. That was the end of the millennium, last tour of America, Akshay Kumar was there. Manisha Koirala was there, Rekha ji was there. So we all were there. I was there, Moin Akhtar was there, and Sarojji was traveling as a choreographer for everything. I spent a lot of time with her over there. She taught me how to dance on stage. And, as in that vlog, I said she gifted me a dream catcher, which we got from Canada. I think Whistler, close to Vancouver. And she bought that for me. She said, "This is my blessing to you. Ye mera aashirwad." Usme kha, a star is born. This is 2001. So I have those memories, and that's why I called her my teacher and my guru.
And that was directly Dil Se from Sonu Nigam. Sonu, you're currently at a unique point in your career. Your voice has won the heart of millions and continue to evoke fond memories amongst the people. After everything that has happened, what's the way forward for brand Sonu Nigam? Can we expect you to assume the role of a mentor and promote budding talent like A.R. Rahman sir does through his venture QK?
As an artist, brand, sure. That's your department. Mine is the thing. So as an artist, maybe perhaps what I would like to do is, and again, it is not my bucket list or something. it's the way forward, perhaps. You see, like I know what I'm going to do the rest of the day today. So it's like, or what I should be doing. I think I should be working out after this interview gets over. So I know I should be working out. Similarly, I think I should have more international collaborations. I did one with Natalie Les from Poland, and it was an English song called "Fire in the Sky." It did phenomenally well. Although in India, the radio station don't play independent music, but thankfully this song was played by our local radio stations also, and that song has been appreciated a lot. And I've done songs with Jermaine Jackson. I've done song with Avicii, and at present, like I did collaboration with City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra in 2008 when I did Rafi Resurrected. So I think merging our music with musicians of other countries would be something interesting, which I would like to do. And I've put it in the cosmos. Let's see, because of you, maybe it'll get manifested.
So it has been such a pleasure talking to you. Your ever so candid persona today
Thank you.
gave us great insights into brand Sonu Nigam. And on behalf of our entire team at Kiska Brand Bajega, we hope and pray that you continue to keep wowing us and setting up an entertaining show every time you put up a your musical hat. Thank you for being with us today on our show. We wish you evergreen health and success for all your future endeavors. Make us, the country, and all the music lovers proud.
Thank you very much.
I'll see you again at Kiska Brand Bajega, where we will take you behind the journey of some of the biggest celebrity brands and their brand chronicles. This is Aditya Bhatt signing off. Until next time, happy branding and stay safe.
Even being a bartender was like amazing. Like, I've had no regrets being a bartender. It was amazing.
So YouTube will always be on, social media will always be on.
Right.
The big goal is always to create brands out of it. It becomes a great launch pad for selling products.
Of course, as you mentioned, I'm a civil engineer, and I had almost given up my studies in middle of my engineering, and I always wanted to become an actor.
All the content that you see on my page is just a lot of my past trauma that I've faced from aunties. Ki beta kya ho raha hai? This is just like doing that and just doing that again for people. And people like it because it's happened to them.
Because I am a person who always kind of, loves giving 100% in whatever I do. Or maybe it can be in a film as an artist, as an actor, or it can be a brand. I always attach myself to it.